Htp family, welcome to the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio. Today we're going to ask a very simple question, want a straightforward answer, and that is, did black people abandon Garveyism? Their best chance at liberation for a damn t-shirt. Come on. Now, I want to go through the book Garvey and Garveyism. Alright? I want to go through Garvey and Garveyism with you. Why I want to go through there is because Garvey and Garveyism is going to give you, in a very quick display, what it is that Garveyism was trying to achieve on this planet. Right? And what it is that you don't have to this day. So this is written, I want to say in 1929. Right? If you have the book, this is a great book. This is going to be one of the necessary books. Like, I was planning on writing another book. I don't even want to anymore. I want you to read this book, Garvey and Garveyism by Amy Jacques Garvey. And then when you read that, you'll get a better understanding of not just what we're supposed to do, but what we ain't doing. You understand? And all right, so let's say this is August 1929, the 6th convention that was held in Jamaica, BWI, which stands for British West Indies. So in Jamaica, British West Indies, August 1929, they laid out 8 points of an agenda. They deliberated on 8 points of an agenda, and when you realize that these 8 points of the agenda were not fulfilled, you realize that you're slipping, and it's confusing. What have you been doing for the past, let's just say 80 years. Let me see. Or 90 years, my bad. So what have you been doing for the past 90 years? Okay? You know, some of you just celebrating, oh, my grandfather just became 90 or something, right? Your grandfather became 90, and his entire life span, nothing was being done. Because these are the things that need to be done, and they're not done. They're not being done. And particularly not by what I would call Pan-African nationalists. So I want you to, just absorb this. All right? So he says the following are most of the items on the agenda, which were deliberated on. The political and social freedom of the entire Negro race. Now, that's it. The political and social freedom of the entire Negro race. Has that come about? The political, and I'll be honest. I don't expect that there's going to be a political and economic freedom for the entire Negro race. Political and social freedom for the entire Negro race. I don't expect that even in the best of times. Why do I not expect that? Because no race has complete and total political and social freedom. No people can have complete political and social freedom at all times, at all moments. What that would require of you is a lot of power. And I'll give you an example, matter of fact, because even today, you might say, well, look, the United States has political and social freedom. Not really, because at this moment, most quote-unquote Americans cannot do the traveling as they want to. You understand? Like traveling all over the world. Or even if you were to say, hey, well, the Asian race. Well, the Asian race, the Koreans are limited in their movement and their so on and so forth. So you technically would have political and social freedoms within a nation, right? But if that's the case, even in that case, it's very limited for African people, particularly on a Pan-African scale. Okay? Particularly on a Pan-African scale. So I'm just going to make sure I could... Yeah. So, particularly on a Pan-African scale. So, what's next? So, I would say that this might not have been entirely possible, number one. But it's so far from what you have that it's almost like, what have you been doing these last 90 years? Because it looks like you were doing nothing. Except for celebrating 90 birthdays for your grandfather. Well, not you, but somebody was celebrating 90 birthdays for your grandfather. Right? Let's go to number 2. So the presentation of evidence to the League of Nations for an adjustment of the international problems. Okay, so you completely missed the mark with this one. You have, like, first off, League of Nations don't exist anymore, obviously. But you have much more and much worse, or I don't even want to say much worse or much more, but you have a lot of problems with the IMF and the World Bank and the United Nations. The United Nations right now is just hosting a bunch of different nationalities, whether they be Indian, German, French, whatever, different nationals to go into African countries and rape African children. That's what your legacy is, that you are now letting these international organizations, the ones that you might have once upon a time been able to petition for some sort of problems, they are now the problem makers. They are going into your country and sodomizing your children. And you're sitting by on Twitter or Instagram, laughing about something stupid. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to give it to you truly, because I don't know what you have been doing outside of, I don't know, getting T-shirts or something. First off, I mean, truly, I wouldn't even agree. Like, you can't even present evidence to these people anymore, because they're saying to themselves, "You are so weak. You are so weak that we are going to send people to give like IT, cholera. We're going to bring in poop and put it in the river, and then make the people sick and die from cholera." Right now, there's massacres going on in IT. Massacres. Children, little girls and boys being shot in the head. And today, what you're discussing isn't that. And see, it's not just that you're not fighting. You're not even talking about the tragedies and atrocities going on with our race. Right now, I could say today, the social media, what's trending is some white girl was passing for black for 12 years or something. Not a story compared to children being shot and slaughtered. Another story that happened was some white boy got arrested because he shot his wife and two of his neighbors. One of the neighbors was a black girl. And the whole story that people are saying is, look, they got him arrested. Was he? No, never that there was a black woman shot in the head. A 12-year-old black girl shot in the head for protecting her niece or nephew, a 1-year-old. A 1-year-old niece or nephew, she's running with a child away from a gunman, and she's shot in the head. And instead of that being the story, instead of saying, hey, look, what are we going to do about this white boy? It's the cops took him in, and see a black man, he would have been. Yeah, no, you're not even focused on your race at all. You're just focused on being a victim, and you're not focused on being a victor. You're not focused on taking down these crackers. Okay? You're not focused on it. You're not focused on stopping the atrocities against you. You are only focused on how much you can pretend to be a victim. And I know I said pretend. I know you're going to say, what do you mean? I'm a victim. Yeah, I mean, sure, you're a victim, but you're more so a victim of ignorance and cowardice. You're more so a victim of ignorance and cowardice. If somebody can shoot a child in the head, shoot another woman, and kill another woman, and your only concern is, I don't know the ethnicity of his wife. I don't know. I hope it's not a black woman, but, that's the one he fatally killed, right? So I hope it's not a black woman. But what I'm saying is this. Notwithstanding, your whole focus is, he got arrested, but see that they arrested him, and that just means that white people are treated better. Yeah, they're treated better in their own countries. That's what they're supposed to do in their own countries. If you wanted equality under the law, then you should have been in a black nation, and you should have dealt with a black upper class or something. Or you should be an upper class or something. But you cannot expect that you're going to be treated the same in a foreign land. This is a foreign land. This is not your land. Come on. So what did you get from all this? What did you get from all this? Right? So let's go to number 3. The founding of 3 Negro universities with technical colleges attached in America, the West Indies, and West Africa. Now, I'm not going to tell you that there are no African universities. I don't know about any Pan-African Nationalist universities, and if there is, where's my tenure? You know what I'm saying? Where's my tenure? I mean, you have to understand that right now you have no Pan-African Nationalist universities, and you have no Pan-African Nationalist technical colleges. So that means that you, as an African people, as the class of people who allegedly want to do something good for this race, you don't have the institutional capacity, to do better for your own people. That's a damn shame. This is something that, again, this was 90 years ago. This was on the agenda 90 years ago. And instead of saying, hey, you know what, this is what I want on the agenda today, you sit back and like I said, you're playing around. You're playing around. No university no institution for your message, for your economic development. Every other people has universities and technical colleges for their people. Every other university. I mean, every other people have that, but not you. Let's go to the next one, right? The creating of general economic opportunities in agriculture, industry, and commerce for the race, whereby a brisk and proper trade relationship may develop between the three units. So you see, they understood back then. They understood 90 years ago that when we have these universities in these places, we can also develop the economic opportunities in agriculture, industry, and commerce, right? For our race. And have brisk and proper trade relationships between West Indies, West Africa, and America. Right? And of course, they understood this because that's kind of partially what Booker T. Washington was doing. Right? What are you doing? I sometimes hear people, they say, hey, Booker T. Washington was mulatto, and I don't like mulattoes. Where is your, what was it, Hampton University? I think it's Hampton, I don't know. Tuskegee. Where is your Tuskegee? Where is your technical college? Where is your university? You could dislike the other person. You could say, I don't like these schools because they're made by a white man. And they don't like. If you do not have your own, shut up. If you don't have your own and you're not working on your own, shut up. Because what you're doing in essence is that the reality is that if you're not a part of the solution, you are a part of the problem. Okay? If you are not a part of the solution, then you are a part of the problem. When I went to Jamaica, the other day, I saw that the Jamaicans, they were producing their own sodas. They had their own restaurant chains. They had their own restaurant brands. That could easily be exported. If the quote-unquote African American, or even the quote-unquote continental African, petition their governments to say, hey, you know what, we want to open up some of these franchises, some of these Jamaican franchises, the Trinidadian franchise, or whatever industry factories. If we wanted to open those up on our soil, we could have that Pan-African relationship. We don't even do that. Today you have zero political ambition. Or the one political ambition you have is fantastic. And to say it's a fantasy. It's remarkably ridiculous. Well, I mean, I think you guys owe us a bunch of money, and I know you're not going to give it, but that's all I want. I just want to be heard. All right, have a nice day. You understand? Instead of trying to connect the globe economically, right? Instead of trying to connect the race economically, you know, and to use the labor of our own people towards our own betterment, just like the white man does for himself, right? Instead of doing that, we have zero political ambition. Look here, number 5. The acquiring and controlling of agricultural lands for the scientific development of agriculture, and also the establishment of factories and industrial institutions in various Negro communities to guarantee permanent employment to the people of the 3 areas. You see, he's paying attention. They're all 3 are connected. Again, like I said, you know, I outline in my book, because me and Garvey are like mine, I want to say. All right? I want to say that. Right? So I connected my book, you know, Boko wa set na keru. Right? So you read Garvey and Garveyism, you read the Book of Power. Okay? You read the other books I got, you read the other books on the list. You know, you could go back and check out the list of the books you got to read. Or you should be reading. But again, agricultural lands. How much agriculture? You've been giving away your agricultural land. You've been giving away your agricultural land. And the scientific development of agriculture, you're sleeping on it. Now, I will admit that some, I did see a talk where the sister was describing an indigenous method for raising crops, and it was more efficient than you know, the Western method, right? But you ain't doing it, okay? And it's out to the factories and industry. I mean, there are some factories and industrial institutions, but it's supposed to be led by the people who are supposed to be leading. You understand? Permanent employment for your people. You don't have it. That's what you have. You have permanent unemployment. Okay? You have a lot more black people just getting off of the like they're not even on the unemployment list anymore. They're on the permanently unemployed. They don't even count them in statistics. They say, you know what, these people are not even worth a darn. Right? You have to realize that until you go about with developing, acquiring and controlling agricultural lands and establishing factories and industrial institutions, your people will suffer from their leadership's economic incompetence. You know, if you read, look, I told you to pick up this book. Pick up Garvey and Garveyism. He tells you that he outlines for his, when he goes to Jamaica, he returns to Jamaica, he outlines how you can set aside some of the money to develop the Jamaican economy. The people at that point, his opponent, you know, really convinced people, oh, don't, you know, this guy is blah blah blah, right? But the point is that anybody could do this. Anybody could say, you know what, set aside some land, set aside some resources. We're gonna make this happen. Anybody could say that, but you don't. Again, I ask, what did you abandon Garveyism for? Was it a damn t-shirt? Peace, John Crow. John Crow. You know that's not a good word in Jamaica, right? Alright. Alright. So the launching of so number 6. The launching of a new line of steamships to facilitate trade and commerce throughout the world. Right? So number 6 is to the launching of steamships to facilitate trade and commerce throughout the world. You still don't have any steamships. You still don't have any steamships. You don't have any airplanes. Not for your trade and your commerce. And the thing is this, it's so backwards. You don't understand how backwards you are. Like, no disrespect, but you don't understand how backwards you are. If Garvey had 3 steamships. Garvey had industries in America. And the way how it was lost was because so many foolish people here in America, quote unquote leaders in America, that were in his organization, after he was deported, sued him and stripped the organization of all its wealth. Instead of using it, instead of saying, hey, you know what, we're in this organization, no, instead of, or even finding a way to do something worth it, they sued Garvey and Garveyism for all it had. And that's why nothing. That's why nothing. You don't have a line of steamships. You don't have a line of it. Even if you wanted to do international trade, you don't even have the capacity to do it. You don't have the permission. You don't have the capacity. It's disgusting. You abandon Garveyism, the chance of liberation, for what? We never picked up where Garvey. So John Crow said, we never picked up where Garvey left off by acquiring those ships to facilitate trade amongst us. No. We never picked up. It's so easy. The man was a foreigner. He was a foreigner. He come over here, implement changes, and he got it done. 90 years pass and you can't do anything close. You're still squabbling on the internet. You're still squabbling that you don't like celebrities or something. Oh man, this celebrity, I tell you, celebrities are the worst. No, you're the worst. No disrespect. But you're the worst. Don't tell me about no celebrity or entertainer. Man, this entertainer is the worst. Nobody else says this. Nobody else says this. Man, this entertainment is the worst. This entertainer is the worst. Oh man, I'll tell you, man. I've never to this day heard a white person say, man, Britney Spears, man, she had this really interesting. Like it's one thing to say, yes, you could say, yeah, Britney Spears had an opinion, or yes, Reba or whatever had an opinion, or even some people might be like, yeah, Tom Cruise, he seems like a jerk or something, right? But that's it. You understand? It's not a. I mean, and I'm not gonna say they don't do it every day, but you have to understand that if they do it every day, it's their lower class. You wanted to be leaders of the world. You wanted to be leaders of the world. Behave like those who have no ambition whatsoever. You understand? You who want to be leaders of this world behave like those who have no ambition whatsoever. It's a joke. What did you get? What did you gain? Number 7. To establish embassies in the capitals of the world to represent the interests of the race and to watch and protect their rights. So we want to establish embassies in the like you don't have an look at this, man. See, even to this day, if I said, look, if I find myself in Africa, or when I find myself in Africa, I understand that I have nowhere. If I'm lost, I have to be pointed to. If any African country, I have to be pointed to the American embassy. Okay, I understand that I cannot go to the embassies of African people. I can't go to the embassies of the UNIA. I cannot go to the embassies of the Pan-African cause. I must go to the embassy of America. Because I can't go to embassy of Jamaica. I can't go to embassy of Japan. I can't go to embassy of China. I have to go to the embassy of Jamaica. Of America. Because that's where my passport's from, right? That's where I technically would be quote unquote a citizen of.